As leader of the nation and the strongest, most powerful, most well-loved man in creation, whose very presence is a gift of God to your people, you should naturally be the world's best lover, or at least the most prolific. You want women to quiver in your presence, young men to aspire to your level of sexual competence, and the bespectacled opposition leaders to grind their teeth with jealousy over your priapic adventures. Oh, you heard that? Huh, silly me. I'm sorry. Come in, come. I was meaning to speak with you about the topic of Stoic philosophy. As you can see, I've been a bit concerned as of late, and I'm not quite sure how many would live without not knowing of its contents. You see, as of late, things like existential nihilism have been plaguing many of us, be it in the form of growing pains or something better. In my case, it was an identity crisis around high school. I did not know who I was, and I was torn between the collective and the individual. Eventually, I had an identity crisis about that, and either existential nihilism can go one of two ways. It can go to the passive route or the active route. The former is more of an optimistic way, in the most objective of senses, as active nihilism is the idea that once you have your existential crisis of sorts, you get up from your britches, you smile to yourself, and you say, life is meaningless. However, I have the ability as a free-thinking individual with deep inner thoughts and a powerful conscience of my own, that I shall make the most out of the one life that I have. In this brief period of light between two eternal darknesses, before your birth and during your death. And then the latter, passive nihilism, my dear colleagues, is not to be mistaken with pessimism or any kind of black pill philosophy that some of the other people on the internet would have you believe. Passive nihilism, my dear viewer, is the idea that once you have your existential crisis, you interpret it in the way that you would with, say, some sort of calling, in the same way of active nihilism. In passive nihilism, you attach yourself to a mass movement, be it something greater than yourself, as a way of preserving your immortality, in a sense. Part of it is because the person experiencing the crisis is more often than not afraid of dying. And that fear of death is the reason people have these crises. It is simply a way of interpreting it with no correct answer. With passive nihilism, the sufferer, or a man who is having the crisis, or a woman, either way that is suffering, and either way, in the passive nihilistic way, you end up attaching yourself to a mass movement, be it in the form of a work of art. No, not a work of art. A church or religion, organized religion. You could be part of a protest group, a cult, a nation, a tribe, a group of people, a community, a neighborhood watch. Anything technically that would be greater than the self. Whereas in active nihilism, you would be devoted to a concept, not like a tribe or group of people, be it a great work of art or a personal achievement, the basis of pride. And it is not to be misinterpreted, seeing as how there is no correct answer in regards to dealing with this. We simply live our lives, the one life we have really, trying to make the best out of our existence. Because in the end, in regards to good and bad, there is no good or bad way in dealing with this. as both are merely means of coping with the existential crisis at hand. In the end, this good and bad is eradicated and instead replaced with people with problems trying to solve them. And I do hope that this has helped you, in a way, in regards to your existential feelings. And this is the best from Daltonian the Sniffer. That is all.